I was just wondering, because you mentioned earlier that you look at the financial statement, you give a price to the company in question and compare it to the marketplace. It sounds like something that might be computerized, and maybe machine learning can do a good job at that. So I was wondering whether you're considering integrating that. Yes. And so forth.
First of all, that's true. And second of all, what I was trying to say, though, is illustratively, which was I was trying to make a point that we generally don't sell short stocks just on valuation. But when we came to a point with certain stocks that the valuation was seemed to us to be so extremely out of whack that it wasn't really a debate as to whether the stock was in a range of a fair value. In other words, it was 90% or so overvalued. You don't need a computer to help you figure that out because you're so far off. And even if you're wrong by 100%, instead of it being 90% overvalued, it's 80% overvalued. That was the point that I was making. We do not sit around all day and try to figure out the precise value of individual stocks. We just don't do that because those are not relevant to our actual ability to make decisions. So if we have a stock and it's $10, the goal is not to figure out if it's worth $11 or $11.50 or $12. The goal is to figure out, is it worth a lot more than $10? And since we're looking for, and not being precise about that, because it doesn't matter really whether it's worth, if we buy it at 10, it doesn't really matter if it's worth 18 or 20 or 25. And there's no point in us trying to figure that out right now because the only decision we have right now is do we want to own the stock at 10? And if we think it's undervalued by a lot, that's good enough for us to decide to own it now. And by the time it starts approaching higher values, we can reassess and we can fine-tune our thinking on an ongoing basis. So when it gets to 15, we can say, do we still think that this is very undervalued, or 18 or 20? And sometimes the facts will change. And so if you would have if you'd bothered to figure out that it was worth 20 in the first place, by the time it gets to 15, you might decide it's worth 30. Or alternatively, you might decide, you know what? It was never probably even worth 20. It was probably worth 15. And so you want to sell it at that point. And those are the kinds of ongoing assessments that we make, but we do it in a very imprecise way, is the way I would describe it.
So it's not like template model that you guys...
No, we view these investments as puzzles, right? There are the few things that you know, but they're not the most important things because everybody knows them. Right? The most important things are what is it that you can infer and how good are you assessing the possible range of outcomes, either the known unknowns or the unknown unknowns, and how do you construct that into a portfolio. And those things, I'm sure the machines have views on these, and the shorter the term of the decision, the more likely probably the machine is going to figure it out better and faster than the human. But our goal here is to find things that are just widely misunderstood by a large margin, such that we're not really competing with that kind of technology, because I don't think we would beat them.